What up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's your boy King Mumbles. Mumbles. You know what we're doing? King's Court Network. So we're supposed to have a interview um with not a business but a charity organization founder and director. Support black business, support black charities. Make sure y'all click like when y'all come in. Share the live. If you have any questions, of course, ask them. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Show some love. It ain't nothing. Don't cost you nothing. Thank y'all. Okay, so here comes Anick. Hello, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Okay, so thank you everybody. Y'all know who I am. So this is another episode of that Kings with Mr. Mumbles, where basically we break down things that are interesting to me that have caught my attention, people in certain industries that are my passions. I like to bring them to you. So today we've got somebody not running a regular business, but definitely a business in the form that it is, but it is a different form than that we normally do. But you guys know I like to give shine to black owned businesses. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Sure, sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Anick Silencieux. I am the founder and executive director of Support Black Charities. And this is an organization that was formed about 5 years ago, well, actually 2018. I just wanted to make it easier for people to find organizations that are Black led, Black serving, and Black focused. And I wanted to incite and inspire our community and people outside the community to be able to contribute to our community through organizations. I think Black organizations have a vital part into the Black ecosystem, and so my role is to give more visibility to these organizations, their leaders, their mission, their volunteers, their programs, in hopes to be able to inspire compassion and help more people get involved and get engaged with Black serving organizations. And so that's a little bit my introduction. I can say a little bit more in terms of this is not my 9 to 5. This is a side hustle that is becoming a main hustle just because of the work that is being done, the feedback that I've gotten. Obviously, the events of 2020 have made my organization even more relevant. And so we've changed a little bit we've pivoted a little bit the mission, but still we are looking to raise awareness on Black serving organization, and also promoting these organizations to the community to create engagement and more charitable giving. And so in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Okay, okay. So, what exactly got you started, or what inspired you to get into this field or to start this
Yes, so yeah, so obviously Support Black Charities is a nonprofit. It's a Canadian registered nonprofit. It's based in Toronto, but we operate globally. So the organization, it's a directory of Black serving organization around the world. So we're representing 18 countries: Canada, US, UK, Europe, and many countries in Africa and Caribbean islands. So there are three things that kind of push me to start this organization. First of all, I always start by saying that I am myself a product of a nonprofit. And what I mean by that is I went to school for electrical engineering, and in my senior year, there was an organization from the US that approached our school, university in Montreal. They wanted to branch out, and that organization is the National Society of Black Engineers. And so they wanted to branch out into Canada. They started a chapter in our school. I was the president. And so they invited me to one of their conventions. They had national convention, international conventions, and regional convention. So they invited me to the convention, the national convention that was in North Carolina. So for me, coming from my school, where there's not a lot of Black people in engineering, and even less women in engineering,
Mm-hmm.
I went to their convention, completely changed my life. I was surrounded by 10,000 Black alumni students. Some high school students were there, some elementary school students were there, but just engineers in that environment just changed my mind when you notice the power of a network and you're not alone, right?
Yeah.
And this is a nonprofit. So the way it even changed my life even more is that 2 months I when I was at the convention, I had an interview, and 2 months later they called me. I had the job, so I moved to the U.S. for 2 years, and I lived the American dream for 2 years. So I can definitely say that nonprofits work in terms of giving resources to the community. And for me, it definitely started my career as an engineer. And up to this day, I still get the benefit from that, from the start. As a new grad, they gave me a chance. I moved to the US and so on. So that's kind of one of the things that got me to say that now nonprofits work, and I'd like to do more work with them. And one thing too is that I also afterwards I volunteered with them. I did some outreach in the US, some in the Canada as well, where I would go to different schools and talk about engineering for women. Try to make sure that girls understood that engineering was also for them, and
Mm-hmm.
especially Black young girls. The I guess the second thing is the fact that I was born and raised in Montreal, but my family is originally from Haiti, in the Caribbean. And so, whenever something's going on in Haiti, my family always was somewhat involved in either sending things in Haiti or through different organizations. We were involved. And so, that kind of, I was always involved somehow. Every time there's an organization about Haiti, I'm always like, okay, let's do something. I know I can do until this day. I still try to get involved. And so, I wanted to tap into the diaspora, the strength and the power of the Black diaspora that are outside Africa, outside the Caribbean. And I knew I'm not alone. I have a lot of friends from the Caribbean. I'm from the continent Africa, where they also have a link back home.
Okay.
And I think now, and the Black community as a whole, we're strong enough to be able to support our own. And there's the movement of supporting Black businesses, and I was inspired by that movement to support Black charities, right? In the same way, I think it keeps the money in the family. We get to help each other in a different way. Other communities do it also, and it works well. And so I thought that was a good way to strengthen the Black ecosystem. And one of the last reasons why I did it is I'm just tired of the stigma surrounding the Black community. The Black community, this gun violence, there. I understand there are realities within our community. I am not blind to them, but it's not everybody's reality. And I think people are too attached to that negative stereotype. And sometimes that negative stereotypes bleeds into our own community.
Mm-hmm.
When you start hearing your own community talk about, I don't want to do business with Black people, I don't trust. So I think for me, I said, I need to show, I'd like to have a way to show Black people and allies, obviously people outside the community,
Yeah.
the good work that's being done by the leaders in different nonprofits. Because I'll tell you, since I started this, I've seen incredible things being done in the community. It's not highlighted enough. And I'd like to do my part into trying to highlight the good work that's being done. It's from different parts of the world. Sometimes it's based in, let's say, Toronto, but it's really having an impact back in Jamaica or Haiti or Nigeria or Ghana. And so I wanted to showcase that. I wanted to break that stigma and let people know that, Black people are doing great stuff, and here they are, around the world, and help build the community locally and back home. And especially because, sometimes even to this day, when I speak to people outside the community, they think that all the Black charities are about gun violence, drugs, and poverty or AIDS in Africa. And I'm like, that's not the case. I think there's three types of organizations. They're the ones that directly, address systemic racism,
Yeah.
directly address them. They're the ones that bridge the gap, like National Society of Black Engineers. They help me bridge the gap by, giving me opportunities that I may not have had otherwise. And there are other organizations that just elevate people. You have organizations with dancing festivals. There's one in Atlanta. I don't remember the name, but there's a Black lady in Atlanta that's introducing women through a nonprofit, introducing women to golfing. Right. So it's just a way to try something else. And I think I want to remove also that stigma that Black people are just, they're only about gun violence and poverty. There's a lot of different things going on where people are helping others through their experience and their passion and their expertise. And this is the third reason why I really wanted to do this work, so I can showcase the people all around the world doing amazing work. So that's kind of what really inspired me, and I kind of use a little bit of the digital marketing information knowledge that I had when I dabbled into other things.
Hmm.
And so I kind of put everything together, and I feel like this is my life mission. Everything that I've learned up to this point is, being used through uh, my work with Support Black Charities.
Okay, that's always good. You know,
Mhm.
it's more of an evolution. So that's what
Right.
inspired you to do it. Another
Mhm.
inspiration question: Who Name three people that you would say would be the most influential to your life, like to maybe learn from you, grow. So, who would you say would be the three you've learned
I
from?
mean, maybe a cliche is my mother, and I put two people: my mother and my aunt. Um, my mother is very driven, and I put my aunt in there because when we were young, my aunt, she was from in Brooklyn. She was helping the community so much, like to the point that she would give herself. And we used to
Mm.
almost kind of make fun of her. But as I grew older, you saw how validating it was for her. And she was
Right.
knowing the community for helping. And I think when we were young, and every time we went, to New York for vacation, and there was an event, she would just volunteer us, right? Like we were there to visit, and all of a sudden we were volunteering at an event.
But,
And it
uh,
used to be a little bit annoying when we were younger, but as I got older, I just saw, look at the impact that she's having. You'd walk with her in a neighborhood and everybody would say hi, thank you for this, thank you for that. And that really stuck with me. That stuck with me about that's She passed 2 years ago, but that's the legacy that she left. And I was always drawn to that from her. And my mother also has done the same, not so much at a community level, but my
mhm.
mother has done the same for her own family, always helping somebody that needed help, in different ways. And, again, when you're younger, you're like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But when you're older, you appreciate those moments, and you understand that that's what life is all about. You have to help your family and your community. And, you know, you don't make it until everybody makes it. And that's something that my sister says a lot. You don't make it until everybody makes it. And I think these are two people that I think would really inspired me. A third one, hmm, a third one. You kind of catch me off guard. I haven't thought about this in a long time. I don't know right now. I'm always
Okay.
want to go outside of the people that I know, not particular celebrities, but I like to see I like to see people giving back in a big way.
Hmm.
Um, I can't think of anything
Okay,
right
no
now,
problem.
anybody right now, but if it comes to me, I'll let you know.
Okay, so what are your long-term plans for the organization there? You were saying how the work is looking like it's going to be your main job. So what are your long-term goals? Like, what are you
Mhm.
hoping to be in 10 years or so?
Right. The so right now the flagship program of our organization is we are onboarding organizations that are impactful to be listed on our directory. There are three plans, and the plans are based on what we do for them. And the names of the plans are get listed, and featured, and then get listed, featured, and promoted. So these are kind of the services that we do to different organizations. We have a free plan and paid plan. And so through these plans, we try to onboard organization to be listed on the directory, and then we use the narrative of what's going on to be able to showcase their work, their program, the leadership team, their the volunteer team, through the website. Obviously, social media is a big area that we do this work. Our newsletter, blogs, and different and the website, yes. And so that's kind of the flagship of the organization. Now we've branched out into, I'd like to be the hub of Black serving organizations, a
Yeah.
resource hub, right? So, one of the things I should say is that all the organizations that are listed on the directory are vetted, and we have a seven key requirements that we use to vet organization. I think it's very important because when we promote the directory to supporters, we want to make sure that some of the questions that supporters always have, that those questions are answered, right? What do people usually ask when they want to choose which organizations to engage with or to donate to? They want to know how long have they been in business, how long have they been active, what's their impact, where does my money go, what are their programs, what is the track record, like they do they have a website, are they active on social media? So these are all kind of aspects that a supporter usually thinks about to be able to choose an organization to support. And so we kind of directly align our requirements based on those. So our requirements are you have to have an online presence. Obviously, the website is like a storefront, but social media is like the weekly flyer. So we prefer organizations that do have a website. It shows a little bit more transparency and fact that they've been established for longer. Then we have to make sure that they're black led, black serving, and black focus. And obviously there's a lot of organizations that are not black led but do great work in the world, or most likely in Africa or the Caribbean. But the way we look at the organization is we want to make sure that they have at least 50% of their leadership team has to be BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. I think that's the advocate in me thinks that the more, if you the leadership tip represent more of the community that you serve, it has a bigger ripple effect, and you get to empower the community. And so I've had some really interesting discussions, challenging discussions with organizations that were not black led but were doing good work. But for me, I understand you do good work, but my niche is black led organization,
Mm,
or at least 50%. So again, it's just, this is my organization, my rules, right? Um, but there's and I think I want to help the organizations that probably don't get the exposure due to for systemic racism and different things,
yeah.
don't have enough knowledge. So my goal is to, when you talk about long term, is to be a resource hub, but also um, have a program for each of the requirements. Because right now, to be listed on the directory, you need to have at least four. If you have at least four of these requirements, you you're okay. You have a lot of things that are working for you. But I would like to, and I'm working on it, to create programs for the three others that the organizations don't have. Whether they don't have a donor management system, how do we create a program? And we don't know yet if it's free or a paid program, but definitely give resources for organizations that have those 7 key requirements. And those 7 key requirements, they really come from, I've analyzed the organizations that are doing amazing, the ones that have been there for 30 years, that are established, they have full-time staff, they have programs, they have great impact. And, you kind of look at what is the common denominator for all these organizations. And so this is kind of how we wanted to make our 7 key requirements. We want to kind of raise the bar so some organizations, so they can kind of compete with these bigger organizations. And this is where long term, we want to be a hub, help organizations in different way, from accounting to doing a website, and so on. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on that front. We have definitely started, but long term, that's one of the things that we'd like to be. And also, obviously, maybe have support Black Charities Canada, support Black Charities US, support Black Charities Africa, support Black Charities the Caribbean, Europe. That's probably longer term, but that's still in the
Mm-hmm.
vision. Just because I've noticed, speaking to different leaders from around the world, there are different rules, different challenges from the different regions. Just from the US and Canada, there are different things that don't apply to both. So, having regional a team probably, or resources, would, I think, be even beneficial, and we can um, really help a little further organizations. And also been able to attract businesses and corporations and a few government agencies that really like our directory. They like the fact that that we have a database of organization, and so businesses have come to us and asked me for very specific requests. For example, an organization in a corporation in U.S. Said that they had a surplus of inventory, and they could deliver the surplus of inventory to all organizations that are in Florida, and so with my database, I looked at all the Black serving organizations in Florida and was able to make kind of the contact, and they were able to receive some goods if it was relevant to their mission and programs. But I was able to make some connections there, and there's maybe 4 or 5 more stories like this where corporations have come to me with very specific needs, and I've been able to match those needs and respond to them. But again, organizations have to be on a directory. It makes sense that I just refer an organization that has been vetted already and that's listed on a directory. So that's kind of the benefit for organizations to be listed on our directory. It's the extra exposure that it gives them, and it allows me to make those connections when the opportunity comes. But long term, regional offices or chapters, and a hub for organizations that they can come to us for anything, like I said, from accounting, funding, website, HR needs, and all those things. So um, this is what I'm working towards.
Okay. What would you say has been like your biggest obstacle in getting this started and getting it going? Like, what have been the kind of things that have been like hindrances?
Yes, definitely. I think I'm a nonprofit myself, so I do go through the same challenges that nonprofits have. And I think at the beginning, it's getting the balance between resources and time, especially for me because of the full time job. But it's not so much an issue right now. But in terms of finding the right programs that give an impact, but
Uh-huh.
also allow you to remain sustainable, right? So the biggest thing for me was the price point. how 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 do I put a price to a service that makes sense? So I'll be honest. We had there's still some testing to be done to find out what's the best price point to give the most impact, to be able to be affordable to people, but also to remain sustainable. I think that's a big challenge, not only for myself but also for many organizations, not only Black serving, but any nonprofit organizations, where to build capacity building to a point where you can become sustainable. And there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of consulting people, trying different things. And so we're still in the process of that. We have a couple of things that are working well, but because we want to take this further, this is kind of the challenge that we're up against, where I'm, trying to consult with different people to understand a little bit how, in terms of programs, capacity building, that I can have a structure, a sustainable structure that allows me to be able to give impact and to continue being able to give those programs, because some programs can be done for free, but sometimes you do have things that you need to be able to run those programs. So that's the balance that I'm constantly working on. And yeah, that's probably the main one.
Um, okay, so being an organization there with stuff like the the drama and the turmoil that happened with the Black Lives Matter organization in the states, have you as an organization already put in things in place to guard mishandling of funds, or do you guys have something in place of transparency to the people
Hmm.
that you work for to make sure
Hmm.
everything is being utilized properly, or are
Yes,
you?
yes, that definitely is a tragedy. What happened with Black Lives Matter? That's just a tragedy. To use a movement and to not use it properly, that's a tragedy. So, I mean, I'll share with you that I do work with an accounting firm, where we that's something that's very important to me, especially because um, finances are not my thing. My profession, I'm an engineer, but finances, I'm not my thing. For myself, personally, I have a financial planner, so they could take care of my finances. But I should have said, that's also another difficulty for me, to understand how to run a business, essentially, because a nonprofit and a business basically have the same type of expenses today. You have your website, you have the programs you run, the expenses, the normal operation, and then the ones that come up. So I've definitely had to learn, and I've just recently, to help me manage. So I am working with an accounting firm to be able to make sure that we are in our okay in our books, and also through the board. We do review at our AGM every year. We do review the numbers quite extensively to make sure that we didn't forget anything, or everything looks good. And actually, this year, at the end of the year, what we'll start doing, it's not a requirement for nonprofit in Canada. It's more of a requirement for registered charities. But for me, I want to start putting some information on financials on the website for transparency. People do want to see that. It doesn't have to be, that's what I tell people, it doesn't have to be numbers, but it could just be a pie chart, and you put where the donations go, where the grants, the percentage of, in terms of revenue and expenses, so people have an idea where things go. But definitely, I think fraud is really big. In the charitable world, and you have to make other things and put other things in place to make sure that you stay transparent. And I think one of the ways is to do it through your website, through showing your track record. And when you ask, another thing too is that when you ask for donations, always break down where the money goes, right? So sometimes, you click on the donate button, and it takes you directly to a form where you have to put in, I'm going to give per month or a certain amount. In the best practice, like I said, the seven requirement, what we ask for is that on that donate page, we want people to ask, to list where the money goes. That's one step further, that just gives a little bit more transparency to your operation. and you're able to kind of showcase. It shows that you have a plan and so on. So these are the little things that we can do to be able to show transparency, and how, in terms of accounting, that we make sure that everything is correct. But really working with the accounting firm is definitely helping us to be able to keep everything in check, because there was definitely a learning curve. But this is what all organizations have to go through. And what I usually suggest is for them to at least be audited once a year by an accounting firm. So, and once you get that stamp, that letter, that helps you to show you stakeholders, your beneficiaries, that you've been audited.
Sure, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, you've been doing this, and you were doing other for 5 years.
Mhm.
A question I like to ask businesses is, what is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Mhm. Um, More consultation. Oh, is there an
Sorry, hold
echo?
on. Sorry,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Um, yes, yes, I can hear you. Definitely consult more at the beginning. Um, Spend the resources to consult, because I've made some mistakes, and I think if I had just taken the time to consult, ask around, I could have avoided some of these issues. So, like I said today, like I said earlier, I do consult now. And obviously at the beginning, I was like, yeah, I can do it myself. I know what to do, blah blah blah. I did the first website. No, no, no. Today, I understand that to avoid errors, there are people that have the expertise. I definitely have a vision. The vision is mine, but I need to take advantage, or not take advantage, but leverage other people's expertise. And there's been a couple of key people in the community, especially in Toronto, that I've had conversations with early on that have helped me. So that's something that I've learned, is to be able to ask questions, and to consult on some of the things. And essentially, that's what I'd like to be for other organization. Long term, I'd like to be that kind of organization that people come to get some information. But I've come to that point based on my own experience, where in terms of running a nonprofit, I made some mistakes, and obviously you try to say that mistakes are not mistakes; they're lessons. But still, that it makes you lose time, and sometimes lose financial resources. But that's definitely something that I'm not afraid of to do today. At the beginning, I was like, no, I can do this. This is mine. I'm good. I know what to do. Not today. I don't mind asking for help today. That's something that I've learned.
Okay, just a couple more questions. And so, another one that I like to ask people there just is, if you could go back 10, 20 years or so and give yourself one quick message,
Hmm.
what would you tell yourself?
One quick message. Oh, um, a little bit along the same lines is, not be afraid to fail. I think that's a life lesson for me. Is at the beginning, I mean, I had this idea for a long time, but I just didn't want to do it because I'm like, I don't know how to do it. People are gonna think, you know, something if I try to do it and I fail. Um, no, failure is part of it.
Yeah.
Failure are lessons. You need to fail to get better. That I'm clear on that. Obviously, I try to minimize the failure, but by consulting. But I know that I think for me, if I can be honest personally, at some point in my life, maybe in 2014, 2016, when the self-empowerment movement was really big and there was workshops everywhere, there was a time where I felt like, what am I doing, with my life? I want to do something. I want to have a legacy. Yes, I love my job. I always say I like my job, but I love this work, right? So I say I like my job, but I feel like I want to do something else, and I was just afraid. And then, you go to all these self-help workshops, and they kind of motivate you to go outside the box, go out, be uncomfortable. And I think I kind of dove into those things, to start to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And after a couple of things that I've done, I think it just really opened up everything for me in terms of um, just trying things. And this is one of the things. And I have to tell you that before this, I tried other things with digital marketing that failed
Mm,
really bad. They was just trying different things, as everybody's trying to do the what was it, the the multi marketing. uh
yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember the term, but I went in
Multi-level
that, did
marketing.
different things, did not work. um but I would have never gone into that if I didn't get over myself and said, you have to be uncomfortable, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so that's something I think for about 5 or 6 years, I just lingered. I didn't do anything because I was afraid. I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to do anything. So if I had to say, I feel like I've lost 5 years of my creativity because I had good ideas but never even tried them.
Mm,
And I think, if I had to say something to my old self, I would say just don't be afraid to fail. Let's try it. You don't have to tell everybody. Just try it for yourself and see what happens. You'll learn a little bit more about your limits and your capacity also. So that's definitely something I would tell myself. Definitely.
okay. Mm, and two more questions. So you're talking about legacy.
Mhm.
So that is like my next question. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would you want it to be? Like, what do you want your legacy to be?
I would want my legacy to be that I've um, got, mm, I want to say, the world interested and inspired compassion, for organizations, and to be able to give more. Um, Obviously, I'm doing this for the Black community because that's my community, that's what I know. But if you a little bit, if you go in the esoteric world, I'm quite spiritual, so it's about helping humanity, right? It is the thing that says you have to do service to others instead of service to self. And I think at the beginning I was doing self. I wasn't doing anything for any other people. And now I feel like, um, just with this organization, there's 105, 107 organizations on the directory. We definitely have people visiting the website. We get emails every day from supporters, from organizations, feedback, questions, suggestions. So I know I'm doing something, and I might never be able to quantify it, but it's just so validating. It's so validating to see that I'm able um, to make matches, that to create a platform where people can connect, and they wouldn't have been able to connect before. But I'm able to create that platform that people can be like, oh, let me see what type of Black organization is in my neighborhood, or that matches my passion. Maybe I can do something. So, I think, I would want my legacy to be one of inspiring and compassion and service to others, that people see that it feels good to help somebody else, and that's the way the world's going to go. We You see a trend now today with enterprises. I think the future, every organization is going to be a social enterprise. Corporations cannot get away today without doing something for the community, right?
Mm,
Like you see Nike, now you see Rogers, like they're all doing something. They have a camp, or they're all doing something for the community. And I think this is where uh, corporations are getting to. At some point, every corporation is going to be a social enterprise where they either do something for their employees, for their customers, or for the community they operate in. And that's kind of the area that I work in. I want people to be able to have compassion for others, and to inspire compassion, for service to others. And I think that's what I'd like my legacy to be, especially for the Black community, which is my community. Hopefully, that I've opened some eyes, opened some doors, and made some lifelong connections for people that to create an impact within the community. That would want to be my legacy.
Okay, and last question, not serious, but um, if there was a book, if there was a book written about you, what would it be called?
Hmm. You're asking good questions here. What would it be called? Um, hmm, hmm. um, Maybe be uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Um, that's one thing.
Right?
Another thing. I probably for me. I mean, every moment of your life, you create a memorable memory. Maybe that's maybe off topic a bit.
Mm,
If I keep it from with in terms of the charity, it's probably um, hmm, inspire compassion, service to others is the way to go. I don't know, something like
okay,
that, something along those lines. That's the only way we can help our community or help ourselves. It doesn't have to be the community, but giving to others, you don't know what you're doing to yourself by giving to others, and I think that's something I kind of live by: service to others instead of service to self.
definitely. That energy is always good to put out there. All right, so
Yes.
thank you very much for coming through for the interview. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you guys and how they can help?
Mhm. Yes, so we are our website is supportblackcharities.org. And we are also on Instagram at it's I think the same name or sup Black Charities, and on Twitter we're also on Facebook, we're also on LinkedIn. And I would just want to tell people to try go on our directory and just see and look for an organization in your area, or and today it doesn't have to be in your area, with with the way the digital world is done, you can reach people anywhere. But I always really want to say that there's different ways to help people. um, it doesn't have to be only with money. It could be with your time. It could be with your expertise. And one of the things that is becoming super important now is um, through social media by raising awareness. If you understand the algorithm of social media or just human behavior, when you go on a social media page and you like one post and you see another one that has 10 more likes, you're more likely to go on that one and see why did people like it. It's something simple, but that is a very easy way to help an organization. When you go on social media and you go through it, and some of the things that you resonate with, you like them, you comment, it helps. It helps the algorithm, and it also shows that there's more attention to a certain subject on their page. So that's something I always like to say, because just liking a post goes a long way for people. And we do it every day. When if I see one that has 1,000 likes and one that has 10, I'm gonna go read the one that has 1,000 likes and 5 comments, and I might just like it too, not thinking it's not doing a difference, but it is. So I would encourage people to um, get out of your comfort zone, look for an organization, see how you can get engaged. Again, very easily through social media, or if you're going to go further, actually engage with them personally and volunteer or participate to their program and donate. But that goes a long way. And if everybody did that, just imagine the type of world that we would have. And also, I want people to have a giving legacy, right? Maybe every Christmas as a family, you volunteer for an organization. Every Thanksgiving as a family, you give $10 or you each to an organization. Now there's Black Philanthropy Month in August. Maybe every Black Philanthropy Month in August, with your work, you fundraise for a Black organization. Let's make it a tradition. Let's make it a Black giving tradition. Um, and I'm sure we can definitely change the world that way. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, I am always open to hear what other people have to say. People have different experience, perceptions, and I'm open to hear them. So please engage with us as well. You can contact us on our website. But I hope that I've given you a little bit information on the work that's being done with our organization and how we're slowly trying to change the world, especially for the Black community. And hopefully, you'll join us. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much, and we do appreciate you coming out. We'll definitely, in a few minutes there afterwards, have all of your social media links and everything in the description,
Mhm.
and we'll have that up there shortly there. So I do appreciate you coming out,
And
and
I do also want to thank you, Phil, because you said you wanted to branch into kind of a new direction. So I need to thank you because it's these type of interaction and interest from people from the community that help get the word out. And I want to thank you for that to give me that voice and the platform to be able to speak about it. And just like that, you just joined the movement. So you're part of the movement of support Black charities. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
definitely, I like that energy of what you're doing. So
Mhm.
if I can give it some shine, I definitely am glad to do
Appreciate it.
so.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir, and I do appreciate. And you have yourself a great day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all very much for coming out. I do appreciate that. As I said, make sure y'all click like. Make sure y'all share the live. Make sure y'all leave a comment. Let me know. Definitely go click on to supportblackcharities.org. Read up on that. Go through the directory. Check some of the charities. See how the different ways that you can support. And let's definitely push that energy out there. That's this is King Mumbles. That is make sure y'all follow me, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at KingsCourtENT. Follow me on TikTok at KingsCourt905, and follow me on Instagram Mumbles905. Y'all have a great day. Peace out.